Call the meeting to order. Have everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Sorry. Mr. McHugh, he's absent. Mayor Martin.
Here.
Miss Doherty.
Here.
Miss Faticante.
Here.
Mr. Leahy.
Here.
Mr. Leary.
Here.
Miss Martin.
Here.
6 present, 1 absent.
Okay. We have 2 items under special orders of business this evening, spotlights on excellence. One is, or the first one we're going to discuss is the Morey School Sharing and Caring Program. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Martin. It's my pleasure tonight to highlight one of our community service programs, an intergenerational program. This particular one is at the Morey School, involving 4th graders. And to explain the program, I'd like to invite the principal of the Morey School, Diane Alprin, to the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening.
About 20 years ago, Morey School teacher, Lucinda Silk, had an idea. She felt that her students could really benefit from visiting residents at a local nursing home. And she was certainly right on. Our students have truly benefited from this work. They have deepened their learning, their empathy, and their understanding of others, while at the same time, they have brightened the lives of those who require the special services of these facilities. The program expanded with other teachers and classrooms visiting more facilities and more nursing homes in the area. Lucinda continued the program until her retirement 7 years ago. At that time, she suggested to another Morey teacher that she continue this wonderful work. It is my honor, and I'm very happy to introduce Amy Vogel, who will tell you about our Sharing and Caring Outreach Initiative. Amy. Come on, girls.
You want to come just stand around? And you come over on this side too. Actually, so you can come on this side. Hi, my name's Amy Vogel. I have been going to Willow Manor with my students for the past 7 years. Many people ask me, how do you get the kids ready to go to a nursing home? And it's a very simple answer. I basically talk to them, and we talk about what to expect when they enter the nursing home, what the room's gonna look like, what the residents are going to look like, how some will be able to talk with them and to communicate with them and help them with the craft that we do, and others won't be able to, and that's okay, and that there's many residents who are at Willow Manor who won't be able to be in the room with us. However, we do make them crafts. So what we do is we take the 2-block walk, whether it's sprinkling or snowing or icy or sunny, and we go once a month and we do a holiday craft that the children and I pick out before we go. And the children do the craft with the residents, and they talk and they share stories with each other and ask the residents questions, and the residents ask them questions, and we have snack with the residents. For me, one of the memories that I have the most is when the Red Sox were in the World Series, and we went to Willow Manor that month, and we made Red Sox pennants, and my kids all had their Red Sox clothes on, and the residents all had Red Sox clothes on, and we were singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and it was just a great memory. And what I enjoy as a teacher is our walk back from the Morey School, from Willow Manor to the Morey School. I just listen to the children talking about who they met and what they talked about and what they did and how funny something was and how much they enjoyed making the craft with them. And one rule I do have is every month they have to go to a new table with different residents. Because what tends to happen is they like to go to a resident who is able to talk with them and help them. So this allows them to meet different people, interact with the different residents. And then when we come back from Willow Manor, the students have a personal diary that I never look at if they don't want me to, and they write about their feelings from their experience at Willow Manor and what they enjoyed and what they did. And my goal is for the end of the year for them to take this home and put it in a safe spot. And I always tell them when they're my age, they can take out that diary and they can read it. So Lucinda did start this program and it continued with me. And last year we had a special ceremony to honor Lucinda, and I ended my speech saying that I hope 25, 30 years from now when I retire from the Maury School, I'll pass this on to another teacher. I'd like to introduce some of my students who are with me. This is Allison. She was my student 2 years ago. Her sister, Michelle, who's my student now. Julie, Barbara, and Ecstasy. And are the kids going to talk now? Do you want them to talk now or the video? Okay.
Sure.
So Allison's actually going to start off with some of the experiences she remembers about Willow Manor. Do you want to come over here, Allie?
Probably have to lower the mic.
Yeah, just pull the microphone down. So.
Hi, my name is Allison Betancourt. I was one of Miss Vogel's students 2 years ago. I may not have a lot to say, but I went to Willow Manor in 3rd and 4th grade. I haven't been there in a while, so here's all I have to say. The first thing I have to say is I remember hearing about a woman named Shirley, but I didn't get to sit next to her, but I did meet her. But I always sat next to a nice elderly woman, and she was so nice and cute. I forgot her name, and she was so nice to me. The thing I will never forget is putting big smiles on their faces by doing projects to hang in their rooms. The elderly people would help do the projects too. Then when I went home, I would tell my mom everything I made and how happy it made them, and what their names were. The last thing I have to say is on the last visit, we had a cookout with hot dogs, chips, and many more things. Some elders were with us, and they had a blast. Some talked, some didn't. This is one thing I will never forget about 3rd and 4th grade. Thank you, and that's all I have to say about Willow Manor.
Hello, my name is Michelle Betancourt, and I'm going to be telling you about how I felt before and after I went to Willow Manor for the first time. When I went to Willow Manor, I felt nervous and excited because my sisters told me a lot about it. I didn't know if they were going to be nice or mean, but when I got there, I was mostly excited because I saw all the nice people. The reason I was excited is because my sisters told me a lot about Shirley and all the other people. But on the first day, I did not get to sit next to Shirley. On the first day, I sat next to Madeline and Lorraine. They were nice on the first day. I made a pumpkin and Lorraine made one. I made one for Madeline, and my partner Lisa made one too. She made one for Lorraine. I made the pumpkin. We ate Oreo cookies, sugar cookies, and grape juice and apple juice. Then we gave their gifts. Then we had to say goodbye. I felt sad to leave, but then we left. I'm going to tell you about how I felt after I'm going to tell you about how I felt when I left. I didn't know when we will go back and if it's going to be a long time. Another thing is I didn't know if I'm going back to school. I wrote in my journal. Then I wrote in my journal about what I did. That's all. Thank you and good night.
Now there's a video that is put together of the children from last year at Willow Manor.
Thank you all very much for coming down. It's really a remarkable program, and we congratulate you on continuing with it year after year. It's really encouraging to see younger siblings of people that have been through the program before continue to participate, which means, to me, parents are seeing the value in it as well. Ms. Fedicante?
Thank you, Your Honor. Somebody I know who has a relative at this wonderful facility called me to tell me how fabulous this program was. So kids, thanks very much. It's a great opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have a second spotlight on excellence. After we planned for the Morey School Sharing and Caring program to be with us tonight, Lowell High School received notification of another remarkable achievement from one of its students, a senior named Palak Patel was named as a semifinalist in the Siemens Foundation competition in math, science, and technology. This is a program where only 300 students nationwide are recognized. Mr. Patel was one of, I think, about 10 from Massachusetts who was identified in this competition. But that's not the only thing he's done recently. Palak has participated last summer in a DNA gene mutated, I don't even know what you call it, but why don't you tell us what it was at MIT? Tell us about...
It was actually a research program at MIT. It's called the Research Science Institute. And I researched different structures of DNA and found that they have applications to, I guess, the battle between humans and viruses. So hopefully I can progress some work on that. So that was my entry for the fair. So I researched and I had a paper written, so I entered that paper.
So we congratulate you on being named a semifinalist. It's quite an honor, I think, to know that we have groundbreaking technology being studied by our students at Lowell High School. Palak, just so those of you who don't know, is a member of the Latin Lyceum program. He's also the captain of the math team and the science team as well. So we have a special citation that we're going to present to you, if you'd bear with me to read it. A citation, be it hereby known to all in the city of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that we extend our deepest congratulations to Palak Patel for being Lowell High School semifinalist in the 2006-2007 Siemens competition in math, science, and technology bestowed by the Siemens Foundation. The Siemens Foundation supports math and science education, donating nearly $2 million in college scholarships and awards annually for talented high school students in the United States. By supporting outstanding students today and recognizing teachers and schools that inspire their excellence, the foundation helps nurture tomorrow's scientists and engineers. The entire city commends Palak for all his dedication and hard work, and we wish you continued success given this first day of November 2006 by me, the mayor, Bill Martin. Congratulations, Palak, and keep up the good work.
If I can say a few words, I think this award is a testament to how well Lowell High School prepares its students in math and science. But being active in the school's math and science community, I see a lot of potential in our students, and especially in math and science. And I feel that we should challenge them to their full potential in math and science. And I believe our students can go very far in math and science. So thank you for this award.
Thank you.
Your Honor, if possible, what is young Mr. Patel thinking about doing with his future?
I'm not quite sure yet.
It's going to try and improve the gene pool for the Lowell School Committee, I think.
Very good.
Okay. Thank you very much. On to more, I think, mundane matters. We have minutes for approval from the October 18th and October 23rd the October 18th regular school committee meeting and October 23rd special school committee meeting. So motion to approve the minutes by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Ms. Faticante. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Are there items under permission to enter, Madam Superintendent? Okay. Why don't we do the memorials, and then we'll, we've got one more request to take something out of order. Under memorials, we have two. One offered by Ms. Faticante for Leonard Scott, nephew of Charlie LaFave, the Bartlett School custodian. Mr. Scott was also married to my mother's godchild, and died at much too young an age after a courageous battle with cancer. And we have a second memorial for Kathy Sexton, offered by Mr. Leahy. We could all rise in a moment of silence and darken chambers in their memory. May they rest in peace. I believe there's a request to take an item out of order concerning the authorization. Under new business, we have a matter authorization for Cambodian student exchange. Motion to suspend the rules to consider this matter now by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Doherty. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The rules are suspended to consider this item out of order. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you. You have before you a proposal to start a student exchange program at Lowell High School through which two quite extraordinary young people from Cambodia who won international recognition for their accomplishments in science at a major international science competition held last year in Indonesia would become students at Lowell High School, sponsored by Community Coalition from Lowell, sponsored to complete their high school time here at Lowell High School, and then stay in Lowell to attend Middlesex Community College, and hopefully UMass Lowell to complete their undergraduate education. An opportunity to bring one young man, one young woman who have gone to school in rural Cambodia and really achieved major success in their academic careers to further their education here in Lowell, in a community that is home, as you all know, to the second largest population of Cambodian Americans in the United States. I was approached by representatives of the Cambodian American community here in Lowell, looking for the opportunity to launch this exchange program. The headmaster of the high school and I enthusiastically agreed to work with them to identify what would be involved in having this exchange, and they have taken it from there. You have a proposal that they have prepared, and I would, both headmaster and I see benefits for, of course, the two young people who would be coming under this sponsorship, also for the high school, for the students there, for the high school and staff there, for the community college and the university faculty and students who would have the opportunity to learn from and work with these young people, and for the community at large, which can come together to collaborate to make it possible for these young people to live here in the community during this time. I'd like to invite Dr. Palachia, who is our coordinator of Parent Information Center and one of the leaders of this consortium, to add a few words.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Members of the school committee, Honorable Mayor, Dr. Carla Baer, and members of Central Administrators, thank you for having us this evening. The local community, Middlesex Community College with the University of Massachusetts, are interested in working with the Lowell Public Schools in sponsoring two high school students from Cambodia, Chatria Mom and Kushna D, who who are 15 and 16-year-old Cambodian students in Cambodia. We would like to have them enter the Lowell Public Schools. And in the spring of 2006, they were able to win 2 reputable medals, both gold and silver, in a science competition against many countries around the world. And this competition was held in Indonesia, and they were able to win 2 medals. The purpose of the sponsorship is to afford these 2 students to enter the Lowell Public Schools here so that they can enrich their educational and their future, and also to be able to have them provide the cultural exchange with the students that we have here in Lowell. And having these 2 students attend Lowell High School will definitely promote language learning, as well as being able to engage students in a dialogue between the cultures here as well as the cultures in Cambodia. And also to strengthen ties with the partnership that we have in Lowell, community in Lowell here, and also set an opportunity for the Lowell Public Schools to initiate a student exchange program, not with Cambodian students, not just that, but also be able to expand with other countries as well. So that I think it will encourage pride in the native country among students, and it will give a chance for the students here to connect and to link with the students in Cambodia, and also the culture in Cambodia as well. And we have here tonight members of the community who are highly involved and highly interested in this initiative. And we have the consortium. We have MCC, Middlesex Community College, Duj Van, Mr. Rati Ong, Visna, Soon, Mr. Vong Ross, Director of Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association. We have Sayon Soon, he's the Director of Light of Cambodian Children. We have Mehmet Ali from the Mogan Cultural Center, Dr. George Chikas from UMass Lowell, and Mr. Bill Samaras, who we spoke and met with last summer. And basically the proposal in tonight's discussion is basically to seek your authorization so that we can proceed with our plan. And hopefully you'll be able to consider that. I think this is a great opportunity for us to make connections and provide an opportunity for students here to exchange the learning experience, the cultural experience that we have here with the Cambodian students in Cambodia. So with that, I would like to welcome Mr. Duj Van. He will continue to speak a little bit more. Thank you.
I mean, Dr. G and Dr. Pala sum up all, but I just say a few words. Again, I'm Duj Van, International Student Advisor for Middlesex Community College, and then I'm co-chair for steering committee for this initiative's exchange program. When I heard about this extraordinary accomplishment of these 2 students did in a competition, I myself, as Cambodia, I couldn't fathom how they did that. So it inspired me to approach the Dr. Bear's office to ask her, is there any way that we can bring them to further their educations? I remember when I used to be a student in Cambodia, before I got a scholarship to come to the States, we used to compete for chairs and table to sit and study in the classroom. And that's why I cannot fathom how they did this and how they went the competition for Cambodia. And so the resource in Cambodia, very limited. And so if Lowell give them the opportunities, these students will be given the great benefits to Lowell and Cambodia. Benefits to Lowell, I just echo what Dr. Bear and Dr. Chia said. The students will be a cultural connection between Lowell and Cambodia. The Lowell school faculty and staff will get benefits learn from their experience and their life, how they studies and how they accomplish this. And the projects could be served as a pioneer of exchange program for Lowell and Cambodia, and which is the Lowell student can go to Cambodia, do research projects, study tour projects, and listen any exchange projects in Cambodia. That's why I would like to urge the school committee to vote yes for Dr. Beer's proposal. Thank you. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you. If I could, what we'd be looking for is an endorsement of the plan to move forward so that the planning can continue, which involves, of course, also fundraising, because there's no intention that there's be a cost associated with this to the local school budget, so that the funds to house the youngsters, provide them with the monies for incidentals and for their living expenses, that will be all fundraised through the consortium's efforts. And we would also be looking for authorization for us to apply for I-20 status for Lowell High School. This was the status that we had through the 90s, and since about 2001 it lapsed. So one requirement that we would have for this is to reapply for I-20 status so that we can accept exchange students, in this particular case these two youngsters. So those are the two action steps that would be required.
Thank you. Ms. Doherty?
I'd just like to say I think this is a wonderful program. It's a great idea. I didn't realize that our I-20 status had dissolved or gone away, because years ago I myself was a host family for exchange students who did a semester at Lowell High, and I think because our community is so diverse, it's an obligation and a benefit for our students, so I think it's a great idea. Just like to say I'm in support of it.
Thank you. Ms. Martin?
I know that the superintendent had kind of talked about this also, but in terms of the fundraising and being clear that responsibility is going to remain with the committee that's pursuing this, I do think that we would like to get some more information about the whole process, and I would make the recommendation that it be referred to, I think, the high school subcommittee, so that we could have that discussion before we take a final vote, so we can get all the information.
I would agree. I think that this is a huge undertaking, and I think that we need to make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and before we take any final decision. This way we can work it out in subcommittee, make sure that everything is done, and then come before the full school committee for approval.
And I think it would be helpful if we had the members of the committee,
Yes.
not to take up another evening of your time, but to attend that subcommittee as well.
Okay, so there's a motion to refer this matter to the high school subcommittee by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Faticante. Yes. If I could just ask, are there deadlines that we're going to put in jeopardy by not taking this up immediately?
No, I think if action can be taken within the next 2 weeks, that would be helpful. There's a time lag between applying for the I-20 status for the high school and receiving it, and we want to make sure that we have all that taken care of so that we would receive the authorization by June to be a host high school, so that nothing would get in the way of action in August and the summer to bring youngsters. But we think if it's done within the next 2 weeks, we would be able to meet that deadline.
Thank you. Mr. Leahy?
Excuse me. Through you to the superintendent, could you just elaborate on the I-20 status? That's just for...
Yes, in order to receive a student from another country on a student visa, the institution, the school to which the youngster comes, has to be approved by the I think now it's the Department of Homeland Security and the INS. So it's become a more complicated process since September 11th, 2001. But the institution always has had to be accredited as an I-20 site. So because our status lapsed, because we didn't reapply, we need to now apply as if it's starting all over again. And so that's a process then that goes through, and then we can accept exchange students. We're allowed to, they can have their student visas say that their destination is an approved I-20 site. So, for example, Middlesex Community College is an approved I-20 site. UMass Lowell, an approved I-20 site. Chelmsford High School, an approved I-20 site. But Lowell High School's approval as an I-20 site lapsed, so we need to reapply.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Doherty?
Yes, I just wanted to inform the members, I believe we have a high school subcommittee date already set for November 27th. I don't know if that's too far out, but that's been cleared with, members of the subcommittee could make that date.
I think it makes it, since we already have a date, maybe that's what we should settle on, if you can add that to the agenda.
Just
Mr. Leahy? Mr. Leary, I'm sorry.
Just real quick, this form, this I status, I missed exactly what it was. Can we move forward with at least that paperwork at this point, and then we can go forward? So I don't know if we need to amend it, or if the committee agrees just to get this form stuff going. I don't know.
That would be helpful.
Because we can always stop it if we have issues at the
Absolutely.
Lowell High School. So if it's okay with everybody, we'll just vote on this and then just move the forms going forward.
That would be very helpful.
Cool.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, actually, to refer this matter to the subcommittee. So all those in favor of that motion, say aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. Motion by Mr. Leary to at least begin the application process for the I-20 status. Second by Ms. Martin. All those in favor of that motion, say aye. Any opposed? That motion is also approved. Okay, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you on the 27th. Okay, next item, under unfinished business, we have a revision to the wellness policy. Madam Superintendent, could you take us through what that entails?
Yes, I wonder if perhaps as a report from the curriculum subcommittee, there could be an explanation for this change. So it may be that if we could hold this item until the curriculum subcommittee reports.
Okay. All right, motion to delay action on this matter by Mr. Leary, seconded by Mr. Leahy. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? So that motion's approved, so we'll take this matter up under subcommittee reports. Under nothing under public participation. So that brings us to the motions. The first motion is by Ms. Doherty. Request the superintendent provide a report to the Special Education Subcommittee regarding services provided to children identified with pervasive development disorder. The report should include the number of children currently served in special PDD programs, as well as information regarding location and focus of these programs. The report should also provide details regarding PDD children who are currently mainstreamed, including breakouts of how many have paraprofessionals assigned to them or close adult supervision, where those children are located throughout the district, and what the philosophy is for meeting their needs in a typical classroom setting. Seconded by Mr. Leahy. Ms. Doherty.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the motion pretty much speaks for itself. I've been aware of the statistics. The number of children being diagnosed with autism now has just gone through the roof. I think it's 1 out of 166 or something like that. And I just thought this was something we should look at as a district in terms of how we're meeting the needs of these children and if we're being as efficient and effective as we possibly can be.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Leahy?
Thank you. Through you to Superintendent. When I noticed that some of the requests come through for some of our teachers to go to these conferences, does that, I suppose it doesn't really stop there, right? It benefits particularly the school that the person works at, but then do they have a workshop that they go to maybe all the elementary schools and discuss anything that they have learned, or is that something maybe we should look into? Or so if someone from wherever the Riley School goes to a conference, do they come back and bring that information back to all the elementary schools?
If I could ask Assistant Superintendent Murphy to describe some of the ways that we try to share knowledge around this specialized knowledge related to areas like autism.
Thank you. I believe it was the last school committee meeting, or maybe the school committee meeting before that, you approved 2 staff members to go on a conference specifically around students with PDD and looking at different strategies and methods to work with those students. One was our district autism specialist, and what those two staff people will do is they will get that information, they will come back, and they work with the teachers right in the PDD programs to provide them the consultation, the new strategies to teach, and they do some workshops after school and on Saturdays with them also.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that's good to let everybody know that we are doing that too, so, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. Next motion is by Ms. Doherty. Request the superintendent provide a report to the curriculum subcommittee that disaggregates recent MCAS data to enable more comprehensive examination of the results achieved by majority middle-class students, English language learners, special education, low income and ethnic categories. Second by Ms. Martin. Ms. Doherty.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I'm aware that the superintendent's staff already do this to a certain degree of really examining the data, breaking it down into these components, and I thought it would be beneficial for the curriculum subcommittee to also get a look at these numbers and be able to look at the progress we're making more closely. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion's approved. Next motion by Mr. Leary. The Discipline Alternative School Subcommittee and the School Committee as a whole review the current school system's discipline policy to determine if any changes should be made to the existing policy. In addition, review if there are any inconsistencies with current policy's implementation throughout the system, and if any inconsistencies exist, take appropriate action to ensure the inconsistency is eliminated.
Second, Your Honor.
Second by Ms. Fedicante. Mr. Leary.
Just quickly, I guess this motion it exists because I've got many phone calls, I'm sure, as many folks have, regarding discipline within our schools. I think the various committee members throughout the past few years have had similar motions, if not the exact same motion. We need to ensure that the discipline policy at the Bailey School is the same as the Riley School, as it is everywhere else. I think that's important. We also need to ensure that discipline is a top priority. Safety in our schools, and we'll be talking about our safety summits. Discipline goes hand in hand with that. Discipline's not a bad thing. It's actually something that helps children, I think. I mean, I wish I had more discipline. So I really think this motion's timely. I know other committee members have made similar motions. I just want to make sure the focus is going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. Subcommittee reports. The first report is Joint Curriculum and Extended Time. Report and approval of the minutes of the October 23rd, 2006 meeting. Ms. Martin is Chair of Curriculum. Ms. Fedicante, Chair of Extended Time.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. We first started talking about summer school and what was going to happen with our opportunity to recruit young people to go to summer school, how we're actually going to specifically target some young people who could truly benefit from spending the summer. There were some issues about when to get the biggest bang for our buck, when we would start summer school, either before 4th of July or after 4th of July. We also talked about, we saw some of the numbers that of youngsters that had participated in previous years, and we realized that that for some teachers, they had some very small classrooms. And not that we don't want to hire the teachers, we just really felt that we didn't have a lot of money to waste. So we would try to develop a plan, Your Honor, that would sort of keep teachers on hold. If we got the numbers that we were expecting to get, we would in fact employ them immediately. If we did not get the numbers, we would not be employing them. That way we would not have to spend the money, so that we would have, you know, 1 teacher, 3 students. That's a wonderful opportunity, but it doesn't give us the biggest bang for our buck, unfortunately. We also talked about, there was a motion by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Ms. Martin, to accept the report as a report of progress, to revise the summer school report to include additional assessment data and return to the subcommittee for some consideration. We're looking at the benefit of summer school. What are the data before summer school, and what now happens, the benefit to those children, what benefit do they receive after summer school? The next thing we talked about was the Extended Learning Planning Grant. We requested $30,000, Your Honor. We were informed that we're probably going to get about $10,000, a little less than, well, a lot less than we had actually hoped to get. 5 schools had expressed interest. However, we're going to only select 2 schools for the extended time grant because of the decreased funds. And Mr. Leary inquired as to the progress of other communities who participated in the program. How did they, in fact, get teachers in their schools to participate in the programs, to buy into them? Maybe we should think about speaking to some of those other communities to see how they, in fact, sweetened the pot, made it much more attractive. Motion by Ms. Doherty, seconded by myself, to accept the report as a report of progress. And that was it, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Ms. Martin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The report is accepted. Next report, on the Curriculum Subcommittee, report and approval of the minutes of the October 23rd, 2006 meeting by Ms. Martin, Chair.
Thank you very much. The meeting did take place on October 23rd. In attendance from the Curriculum and Instruction Subcommittee were myself, school committee members Jackie Doherty and James Leary. Also attending were John Leahy. And we had from the central office, Jean Franco, our interim deputy superintendent, and also Claire Abrams, the mathematics coordinator for the Lowell Public Schools. There were a number of topics that we discussed. The first was the middle school report cards. We are moving towards a standards-based reporting system for parents, again, more in line with the way all of our curriculum is structured now throughout the district. It's a move that we had made with our elementary schools already, and this was really kind of the next step that we're taking to really have that consistency throughout our district in the way that we report to parents their individual child's progression through their studies. We did have some concerns regarding the timeline for implementation, and I would ask if interim deputy superintendent Jean Franco could give us an update. We had left her with some questions to kind of set our minds at ease as to how we could do this effectively.
Go.
Yes, absolutely. I checked in with every building principal within the last 2 days, Friday and actually today, just to make sure that our plan is being implemented as we have set forth. There was training that went on in every building with X2. There was a trainer of trainer models that went forward. Since then, David Gray, who consults with us, he's our intermediary between X2 and all of the school buildings, has been in every school building. He has made sure the schedules are up to par, that the technology is in place to make sure that this report card system will come forward. We then looked at the schedule. We knew that there was going to be one less day because we had made a holiday on Veterans Day. So we
didn't make the holiday.
We didn't make a holiday. I'm sorry. We observed the holiday. I apologize. And so we've extended the time for the grades to be submitted. And then we've also informed our parents that the report cards will be then distributed 2 days later. So that we've allowed more time. Additionally, so we make sure that this really happens appropriately, we have offered on-site support to our schools. Mr. Gray will be going around town if he needs support. We also will continue to do all the printing of the report cards downtown. So if we get into technical problems with the whole printing piece, then we will be able to troubleshoot that, print our report cards downtown, especially for this first time, and then make sure everything is delivered on time by the 16th. I've been assured that we'll be able to get this going. We are allowing time for our teachers to be trained in school, and so up to right now, as far as speaking to every leader in our middle schools, I feel that we can definitely attain our goal of getting these report cards computerized into our parents' hands by the 16th of the month.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Leary?
Just real one quick follow-up regarding that. We met on the technology subcommittee, I'm just rushing ahead. That was another topic we discussed, the report cards. Are we 110% sure the teachers are comfortable with the training that they're going to get? And if there's certain teachers that, for whatever reason, don't obtain the necessary treatment, do we have a back measure, like an individual sitting there saying, here's how you're going to enter those report cards? Because it seems like, I think we're going to be 15 days, 2 weeks before this has to be done.
Yes.
We need to ensure that it's actually going to be done, and I don't want us to overestimate a huge project.
That's right. The grades close tomorrow, and then we do have the remainder of the time with the on-school support. So I'll be checking in on a regular basis to make sure we have that support. I also can put Paul Schlickman at schools to absolutely assist. I've been in touch with the ITSs, the technology specialists in every building. I asked them to please let us know if things are not going appropriately. And I know it comes right down to the actual training of the teachers, and that's a large job. If I didn't have such an overwhelming response from our leaders today, I would be very concerned, but I will be very closely monitoring this process on a daily basis to make sure we're getting where we need to go. I've included all the administrators, including the instructional technology people, on the emails to make sure that there is any way that they feel uncomfortable, that they could directly tell me that we know what's going on. I really am trying to troubleshoot this as much as possible.
No, I appreciate it. I guess the question is, are we going to have a human being in every school if it needed? Because it's some people get things quicker than others. Sometimes the training isn't. Okay, so we will have somebody there to assist and actually have to do it with them, I guess, right? Okay, thank you.
And by the end of the week, I'll check on it to make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martin?
Thank you very much. And I do think that it is certainly ambitious, to have this in place for our first marking term, but I applaud your efforts and the efforts really throughout the district to make this happen at all of our middle schools, because I think it really is a much more effective tool for parents to have in their hands to judge their child's progress. So we do have a number of motions. I would probably recommend taking this one as an individual one, to accept the report and to move forward, to instruct the central administration to move forward in making the standardized report cards for middle school happen in time for the first term. That is a bit of a convoluted motion, but I make it as such.
Okay, motion to recommend the committee, move forward with the middle school report card system. Okay. Seconded by Mr. Leahy. Mr. Leahy.
I had one question, though. Did we see a report card? Do we need to see a report card, though, if we're voting on what the report card's going to look like?
Well, we're voting on the system that's used. I mean, it's not so much, basically what we're doing is we're going from kind of collective letter grades that, the traditional ABCD, to actual standards based, so that each standard that children are learning in the middle school, they're going to be graded against, so that a parent would be able to track in a very specific way how their child was progressing based on each specific standard that's part of the middle school curriculum. So it's a much more intense document.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Doherty?
Yes, I would second Mr. Leahy's question, because we did see the elementary school report cards before we went forward with them. Are they going to be much different than that because it's a middle school? I mean, do you think that it is something we should look at? Because we did have feedback on the elementary one. We made some suggestions to make it easier for parents to understand. And I still have the sense that we're rushing this, and I know you're giving yourself a couple of more days, but between designing a new report card and using a new database for teachers to input the information, it just seems very ambitious, and us not having a chance to look at it. I don't know, I have similar concerns that what's it going to look like? How is it going to be different from the elementary one, let's say?
Why don't we send you a copy of it in the FYI?
So, but the motion is to approve moving forward for this marking period, right? That's the motion, right? Okay. Roll call.
Well, all right, can we ask one more question? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Can you read back the motion? Oh, I know, I'm sorry.
Recommend the committee
Thank you.
move forward with the middle school report card system for this marking period.
Okay.
Okay? Do you want a date on that?
Ms. Martin, do you have anything further to add?
All I'd say is that, I mean, putting a date on it, I don't know if that's helpful or not. I mean, I think if we don't move forward tonight, we really shouldn't move forward. So if there are concerns about what it's going to look like, then I'd probably want more information on that.
So, through Your Honor to Ms. Martin, do you want to hold off and wait until we get?
I'd prefer not to, because I think we should move. I mean, I think that this is something that we're ready to implement, and I'd hate to see us tied up. You know, the idea of having one report card for the first term and a different report card for the second term, I just think would be incredibly confusing, and I don't think it would give parents an effective measure. But, I mean, that's my one opinion.
Fine. Mr. Leary, I'm sorry.
Just real quick, just through you to the superintendent, can you just articulate, Madam Superintendent, what the difference would be from what the elementary, what we've already seen, in the middle school? My assessment here is, or whoever, these are the same, but there's just different criteria because it's middle school versus elementary. Is that correct? I think what we need to do is this is the same criteria from the elementary with just different standards. Is that right, or is that an accurate way of looking at it?
Let me ask Ms. Franco to describe. The big issue right at the moment is getting it on the computer.
Right.
And doing it in a...
That's what I thought. I thought it was a database issue,
Right.
but I guess there's other questions here. I guess a better explanation. My understanding was it was the same as the elementary, but there was different, well, obviously because it's middle school, it's different standards.
Right. At this particular time, the biggest issue is getting the report card computerized. It's a pretty similar format to what it's been in the past. It's getting people on and getting this computerized. So we have common course names that we spoke about at our subcommittee meeting, and it's getting people on the computer to be able to do their grades, which will still be number grades at this particular time. We are moving much more towards the standards-based, but it's going to be more similar to the middle school report card of last year than changed at this particular point. So this is our step one, getting on board with this particular report card that looks quite like the past one.
So the issue was, the first question I asked to begin with was the human ability to get it on the database, which is a huge task unto itself. But I think the second issue that some of my colleagues have are, what is that report? And I think it's similar to what we're already doing.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask for clarification? Is it similar to what we're already doing at the elementary level, or is it similar to what we're already doing at the middle school level?
Middle school.
Okay, so it's not going to be a big change for teachers at the middle school level, because that's why we had the pilot program with the elementary teachers. We went from a standards-based, and it was a lot different. So this is just getting it on the computer, and then the next step will be fine-tuning it to standards? Okay. Well, that seems a little more palatable. I didn't understand that before, I'm sorry.
Neither did I, so I'm kind of concerned that I really thought we were making a pretty dramatic step here, and really what we're doing is we're just, instead of having teachers write something on a piece of paper, they're putting it in a computer. So, okay. Well, then there's no real difference in information. So if we want to postpone it, it's fine. Because, I mean, I really have to say I thought that this was having sat through that subcommittee, I thought it was pretty different. And I really thought that this was something that was far more substantive than just putting it in a database.
I'm sorry, I just want to say that now that I understand it's really just the database entry piece, I don't feel as nervous about trying to push it forward in the next 3 weeks. It's one step towards our goal of revamping. So I have a different understanding now.
Mr. Leahy.
Thank you. The only thing I don't know, I don't have anybody in middle school, so I'm not sure exactly what that report card looks like. But the only thing that I don't really have a problem with the elementary school report card, but the only thing that I do notice is that sometimes it can be very cold because they give you, it's not really inviting anymore, maybe, if that's the word, that it just says, student does well in math, but it seems like sometimes we're not using the student's name. They're just very cold statements that we're using for descriptions now. And that's the only thing I really don't care for in that report card. But right now, we're just talking about getting this middle school report card on the computer. All right, and then it's going to fall. Okay, thank you.
Mr.
So
Leahy.
we can vote.
Just
I'm
real
Leary,
quick-
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's just real quick. I mean, I misunderstood. I thought this was a dramatic change, so I'm not going to support the rush. I think we have plenty of time then. So I'm going to vote no on this. If I thought it was a complete standardized, I'm not going to support it.
So maybe we should...
Well, see, I would vote to get it on the computer, but...
It's not as big of a change. The only thing we're doing is going from paper to computer. That's it.
Okay, how does the chair feel?
Roll. Is it Ms. Fatacanti?
I'm sorry. We still don't know what it looks like, though. Would it be better for people if they knew what it looked like? Would they feel more comfortable? I mean, what is the delay in it's not going to look any different whatsoever. Okay. Okay.
Roll call on the motion.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. McHugh. Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Fatacanti.
Yes.
Mr. Leahy.
Yes.
Mr. Leary.
No.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
5 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent. Approved.
Ms. Martin.
The second topic that we discussed were the math and English language studies interventions that are happening at our elementary and middle schools and at the high school. This was based, I believe, on a motion made by Ms. Doherty, and we did receive a great deal of information regarding the way that these interventions are happening, where students are getting additional help when it's warranted in these two key areas. There were some, I know, concerns expressed by Ms. Doherty that there could be students being pulled out of other classes to participate in these interventions, but that we do have, we have set up, each one of the schools have set up their intervention strategy so that that is limited, and that students are getting the interventions that they need so that they can catch up and continue to progress in the most effective way possible. I don't know if any of the other committee members would like to talk. I know you had some other topics.
Ms. Doherty.
Yes, I want to start by saying I think these interventions are absolutely the way we need to go. We're really looking at meeting kids where their needs are and moving them to the next level. That said, as Ms. Martin mentioned, I have some concerns, especially with the 7th and 8th graders. It seems like it varies depending on the schedules and the flexibility and staffing at some of our middle schools. One thing that was already mentioned was that some kids are missing allied arts to get their intervention. Another thing that came to my attention today was some of the classes are being split so that you have a 15-minute period, which, you know, obviously you can't get anything accomplished in 15 minutes. But I'm willing to kind of see how this plays out, how each school tries to work with the, you know, the restrictions they have around staffing and schedule. And hopefully the leadership at the schools will be discussing it with each other, that I think we're going to see some real benefits in student achievement as they're being, again, met where their needs are. But I think we need to keep close watch on how this plays out. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martin.
So that was basically our discussion. The other topic that we did discuss during the meeting was, there were two others. One was our homework policy, the concerns being raised by Mr. Leahy regarding the way the policy is being implemented across the district. There were some specific concerns that some members had raised regarding that there are, you know, students obviously coming home, you know, saying their homework is done. Students coming home saying that they weren't assigned any homework, and, you know, parents have concerns about that. I do think that based on our conversation, we wanted to get some additional information from each school. I think it was agreed that the responsibility really for implementing the homework policy does come down to the principal, and those are the individuals that we need to receive information from because that's part of the job at the school level, to ensure that every teacher is assigning appropriate homework based on our school policies. So that was, we had asked for some additional information at our next meeting, and this would be simply a report of progress on that. I don't know if anyone would like to add anything, or?
No.
The final thing we discussed was the video policy. Just to be clear, we do have a policy in place for the use of videos in all of our schools. It is mandated that they must be part of the curriculum and advance kind of educational purposes, and also that principals must review all videos that have not been specifically purchased, rented, or produced by the school department, and they must provide written consent of their appropriateness. So once again, this is one of those topics, one of those issues that does lie with the principal, and that the principal is the individual who will be held accountable should there be any concerns raised about the inappropriateness of materials being presented in a video format. So I would submit those basically as a report of progress of the subcommittee, and would ask for a second.
Okay, motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Fattacante. Mr. Leahy.
Thank you. I just had one question through you to the chair. When we talked about this, though, did we need to make a change in the policy? Because I thought it wasn't in the policy that it had to be, that all movies had to be reviewed, wasn't it?
No, it had already been in the policy that any movie that hadn't been purchased specifically by the school department had to be reviewed by the principal. That the school department obviously is, before they purchase anything, is making that determination before they...
Right, but didn't we want to change it that any video shown during the day has to get written consent or approval by the principal?
Well, I thought we had just retained it that just anything that was outside of the already established, like a textbook. I mean, those videos would function the same as a textbook or a novel that students were reading. That if the department has purchased them, they've obviously been vetted previously.
Right. I thought that it was going to be a change that would say, even if it's approved and already purchased, that if you are going to show the video, you just need to inform the principal that we're going to have a video, Tuesday. And only for the purpose that, maybe someone might say, well, geez, you're showing... I've got you down here for 60 videos during the whole year. That's kind of excessive. That was my whole point, is that I thought we were going to kind of just change the policy to say that any video or movie shown would just be run past the principal. So I didn't know if we needed a change in that policy or not.
Madam Superintendent?
I might suggest that maybe that issue then go back to the subcommittee for another look if I had not understood that that's what the goal was, and I think that would merit some further discussion. That's quite different than how the policy is currently.
Well, right, that's, okay.
But
That's
Ms. Doherty?
Yes, I believe we did discuss that at the subcommittee meeting, the fact that some teachers may be showing too many videos, and that by having it go through the principal, this allows a control that the principal is then aware. I mean, I thought we did discuss that.
Could I make in the form of a motion then that we add to the video policy that there needs to be principal approval of every video that's shown? Or their designee, so an assistant could?
Approval. Approval, not
pre-approval?
necessarily viewing it.
Right.
I mean, they don't need to sit in their office and watch every,
Right.
Especially if it's a...
Needs to be approval of the principal for every video that is shown.
Clearly, showing a
Okay.
video can have a huge impact, and we all recognize that as a teaching tool. However, when it becomes the main teaching tool, I think that's what Mr. Leahy is indicating. It's become, it's an overabundant use of the video so that the teacher's not teaching and the video's being shown all the time. That's what I'm hearing your concern being.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, I just want to make sure that we're not showing movies to entertain the kids while we need to do something else. And, I'm sorry if that comes out too harsh, but that's what I want to make sure. And that's what I thought we were talking about, but.
Well, I think that would then that would do that. I mean, if a principal has to approve, or the designee has to approve before any video is shown, they have a sense of where the curriculum is moving within that one particular classroom. It's their responsibility. They have to sign off on it as part of a legitimate, educationally based use of that tool, like any other tool in the school.
Okay. The motion's been made by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Doherty.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Change of policy. Mr. McHugh, Mayor Martin,
No.
Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Fattacante.
Yes.
Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
5 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent. Approved.
Okay, motion to accept the balance of the report as a report of progress by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Leary. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Report is accepted. Next subcommittee report is a joint finance and technology subcommittee report and approval of the minutes of the meeting of October 30, 2006 by Mr. McHugh, Finance Chair, Mr. Leahy, Technology Chair. Mr. Leahy.
Thank you. The Joint Finance and Technology Subcommittee meeting was held Monday, October 30th. Present was Chairman McHugh for Finance, myself, and Mr. Leary. Technology, myself as Chair, and Mr. Leary also. And Jackie Doherty was present, as well as Mr. Lang from the Assistant Superintendent's Office. So the first item on the agenda was the organizational flow chart for district technology. We discussed at great length with the assistance of a couple of organizational charts. Mr. Lang described the roles, and we talked about the direct reporting structure of the personnel central office, as well as Lowell High. Mr. Lang is working with the district technology staff on recommendations of the technology organizational scheme for the school department. It's a work in progress. Mr. Lang's going to come back to us with some recommendations after the first of the year. And basically that was it for that. I don't know if my colleagues had anything else to add. Okay. So there was a motion by Mr. Leary, seconded by myself, to accept this information as a report of progress. Second item on the agenda was the X2 implementation. This was brought by a motion by Ms. Doherty, I believe. We discussed at great length the implementation of the X2 system. We had a lot of questions. Mr. Lang showed us or demonstrated us how the X2 system worked. He addressed many issues that were and concerns that were brought up by the members of the committee. Mr. Lang also shared an action plan with the school committee members that is being used to document and track ongoing matters related to the implementation of the X2 system, especially at the high school. So again, there's a few bugs to be worked out, and Mr. Lang will come back with a report on this also, and is working on fixing this. So there was a motion by Mr. Leary, seconded by myself, to accept this as a report of progress. The third item that we discussed were FY 207 cost-saving options. Mr. Lang reviewed with the members there options that are being considered to contain costs for the 208 budget. In particular, we talked about some transportation issues. We talked about, we talked about basically when our bus contract comes up in the next year, just different options we might be able to look at as far as purchasing our own buses or just putting the contract back out to bid. And I just got this report, so I just have to double check a couple of things. I guess, I can't remember exactly what we talked about. Was there one other big thing, Mr. Arnie, that we, no? There really aren't too many ways. We're gonna keep looking at it to save money for the 208 budget, but really, it wasn't a long discussion. There wasn't really. Oh, all right, and then we were talking about, that was it, different things we can do for our special ed needs, marketing some of our special ed, I can't think tonight, programs that we have in the school system. So we talked about that, and that was basically the meeting. The motion was made by Mr. Leary, seconded by myself, to accept the information as a report of progress.
Okay, motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Mr. Leahy, seconded by Mr. Leary. Mr. Leary?
Just real quickly, I want to go over the number 2 item, X2 implementation. We did receive a pretty good Excel spreadsheet from Assistant Superintendent Jay Lang that really articulated not only what the issue was that needed to be resolved, but the specific individual that was going to work on that particular item. So it put, like, for example, I can't think of an example right now, but one example, if it would be, Jim Leary would be resolving this issue by a target date. So I think it's a good spreadsheet. It was a very long and ambitious spreadsheet, but it did outline target dates for implementation, a resolution of steps or issues, and it also targeted a specific individual, whether it would be a school employee or the X2 vendor itself, so we can track this to see if it's successful or not successful. So it's not just a simple little spreadsheet. It actually has the problem, target dates, and the individual completing it, so we can hold that individual or X2, the vendor, accountable. The second issue regarding the motion that Committeeman Leahy and I put on cost-saving options, we have some good work from some of our folks, John Dakota in the Transportation Department, looking at different ways to minimize our transportation costs yet again, and there's some artful and creative ways of doing that. We also are looking at kind of trying to become like a, what they would say in the private sector, a profit center, looking for ways of utilizing our skills in, for example, the LeBlanc School, how to enhance that so we're making money as opposed to just generating or saving costs within our system. So there was a quick conversation, but it's something that's going to be an ongoing conversation with the Finance Committee and the committee as a whole. So I was impressed with the spreadsheets for the implementation, and I think cost-saving measures, especially with Title I funding being cut like religiously every year, we're going to need to become more creative with not only spending our money more efficiently, but also finding ways of making some money. It's just that's the only way we're really going to survive in the next coming budget years, regardless of who the next governor is.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? Motion is approved. We did not take up the wellness policy revisions. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, under unfinished business is a recommended modification to the wellness policy, the beverages and foods sold in the Lowell Public Schools. This was an outgrowth of the curriculum subcommittee meeting before the most recent one, in which the discussion revealed that most everyone had thought that the limitation during the regular school day had appeared in the policy that was approved in July, but upon close examination of that policy, those words were omitted. So this is a recommendation to add the words during the regular day to the sentence about only beverages and foods that are included on the A list shall be sold to students during the regular school day. So it's a recommendation following that curriculum subcommittee meeting.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve that revision?
I'll second.
Made by Mr. Leary, seconded by Ms. Faticante. Mr. Leary.
Just a quick question through you to the superintendent. We met with the Lowell High School students tonight, and a question came up that I didn't have an answer for, none of us had an answer for, regarding other schools' implementation of the federal's mandates wellness policy. We know other schools are implementing it. Is that correct? I mean, we know Chelmsford, for example, what have you. I guess the question came up, and I don't know what from a motion, but some type of assistance. What are they doing with their fundraising sales? How are for example, Lauren's dealing with the impact of reduced revenue for some of our clubs and organizations. I don't know if you know that off the top of your head or something we could look into, because we're seeing drastic cuts even with changing the system, letting people sell their candy after school. We're talking, tens of thousands of dollars literally that they're not able to raise to go on their functions, and now they're going to have to take it out of their pocket.
I will ask the headmaster to investigate that and find out what some of his colleagues in the area are doing.
Okay. Ms. Doherty?
I just was wondering if, through you to Mr. Lang, I thought that when he came up with the draft wellness policy for us, he did look at other districts. Do you remember off the top of your head? Because I thought you did give us information about other districts with the wellness policy.
We certainly did look at other, I'm sorry, I apologize, I
Mr.
missed
Lang,
the first part of your question.
The question is, the high school student meeting that occurred this evening, they raised the issue of candy sales to raise revenue for clubs and things. And so the restriction about being limited to after the regular school day is having a dramatic impact on their fundraising ability. Kids aren't, they're at the end of school, they're rushing to make the bus. In the morning, they're rushing to make their classes. So they're really seeing dramatic decreases in sales. And so the question was, did we look into the issue of how other districts handled that?
Okay. I didn't particularly look into the issue of, other fundraising opportunities or avenues they could explore. I do know, just from experience, that a lot of groups have moved, some do different promotions like card sales, some sell different items like, candles to the home, I was talking about earlier, things like that. They've moved away from away from candy type sales to other activities. A lot of groups would do, like swim teams might do swim-a-thons, things along those lines. I know of a couple of basketball teams that do basketball shootout competitions to raise money, and kids would pay an entry fee to get in to generate money. But a lot of it has moved from food-based activities, and candy bar sales as a fundraising activity, to these other areas to potentially get money. But as part of the study to put the policy in effect, we did not look at, what the financial impact might be, say at the high school if you lost candy bar sales, or, exactly what the impact in other districts was. All school districts are actually implementing this all at the same time. It's not something that we've phased in over the years, so I'm sure other school districts are going through this, and I think most are just moving away from candy and food sales as the primary revenue source for their teams.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion on this motion? I'd like to be heard on this, so Mr. Leahy, can you come up here?
Okay, 808, you took over, honey, okay?
808?
808.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, I'm happy to be sitting next to my pro-candy colleague here on the school committee, but to me, it's really not an issue with the candy at all. It's an issue that's really going to have a dramatic impact on a number of high school students' ability to participate in very valuable extracurricular activities. I mean, the students made, I thought, a very thoughtful presentation at the meeting that occurred prior to this meeting. And and we don't have final figures, but one program alone raised $20,000 in candy sales, and another raised 15, and there are other many smaller clubs that rely heavily on $1,000, $1,500 increments. So, just doing quick math, we got to $50,000 pretty easily that now is not going to be available to students. And maybe candle sales can work, but these are very small dollar items. A lot of kids have the availability to give you $1 for a candy bar, but they don't have the ability to give you $15 for a candle. And so I think this is something we really seriously need to look at with the high school, because I don't think we should be excluding some of our most highly motivated students who are relying on fundraising to participate in enriching events that they're not otherwise going to be able to afford to do. So, it is kind of a joke here, whether you're pro-candy, anti-candy, but to me, it's really a serious issue that's going to dramatically affect our students. So I do think we need to look carefully at this issue and other alternatives to give, if candy sales aren't the way to go, I think we need to provide these clubs with a realistic alternative. And they'll work with us, I'm sure. The kids are pretty creative, but I don't think we should lose a year in the process. So I know the subcommittee at the high school is meeting later in the month, but I think this is something we need to explore in advance of that meeting to address this need.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Through you, Your Honor.
Ms.
Maybe,
Faticani?
not that I want more work for the subcommittee, however, but maybe some of the students who spoke to us tonight can be present at the subcommittee meeting. They can be told beforehand that they might want to come up with some creative ideas that they can present to the subcommittee. I don't think it's a lot to, I mean, I'm okay with bringing back candy, but I understand that there are rules that we can't. I spoke to Mr. Lane today. He, in fact, ate candy for lunch. So, you know, there are some of us who are not opposed to allowing this to happen. And it sounds funny and it's cute, but it has made a huge impact in fundraising. And so we need to figure out how we can abide by the law and yet be flexible enough to allow students to do some fundraising during the day that will allow them to recoup some of these lost dollars.
Thank you. Anybody else? If I'd like to speak, I had something to say, so if we want to switch back in.
Candy.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Leary. I
Thank
called
you.
Tim Leahy a couple times tonight, so I had to call you Larry.
No, I agree with what everybody has said here tonight. We do have to take this very serious and look at alternative fundraising. But I did want to bring up that this wellness program that we've initiated this year through the federal guidelines, but there's a lot to this, and it's not so much just not having candy in the schools. It's a very serious issue that the government is looking at obesity and diseases in the some of our younger generation here. So I think that it's not really just taking the candy out of the schools and the junk food, but it's a serious health issue with our younger generation, with our generation coming up. So it's not, I just don't want people to think, well, we got rid of candy, but we do have to deal with the consequences of not having the money for the clubs. But having the kids in the schools eat better foods is very important also. So we don't want to lose sight of that. Thank you.
Okay. Roll call on the motion to change the policy. This is to change the policy that allows these things at least after school.
Right.
Right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. McHugh is absent. Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Faticante?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Okay. Next on the agenda, reports of the superintendent. First, concerning school safety summits. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you. Committee members have on their desks this evening one-page description of the school committee safety summits that are being scheduled pursuant to a request of the subcommittees on personnel and safety. These are 5 safety summits for neighborhoods of the city, plus the high school, scheduled between, the first one will be scheduled for next Wednesday, November 8th, at the Bailey School, involving inviting families and residents in the Bailey, Laurel Lee, Lincoln, Maury, Washington, Daly, Riverside, and Rogers School areas. And then finishing on Monday, December 4th, will be the 5th and last one. That'll be held at the Riley, involving inviting families from the Moody, Pine Arts, Riley, Shaughnessy elementary schools, plus the Butler, Cardinal, and Sullivan middle schools. The safety summits are designed, first of all, to improve student safety. That's the desired outcome. by developing a shared understanding of existing policies and procedures related to student safety, and then identifying promising ideas and opportunities for strengthening policies and procedures. So there'll be an opportunity for some presentations, questions, and discussion of various scenarios. Participants will be examining district and school responses to bullying and harassment, bus safety and behavior, dangerous behavior, including possession of a weapon, fire or other hazards, including school evacuations, incidents that might involve intruders, and staff or volunteers with a history of arrests and or convictions. And then we'll review the school and district complaint procedure, and then really open it up to more discussion of questions and suggestions from participants. I know many members of the subcommittees, the school committees, subcommittees on safety, on personnel, and on discipline plan to attend one or more of the safety summits. Building administrator from each of the schools in that designated area will be there. John Dakota, our coordinator of transportation, will be present. Assistant Superintendent Murphy and or the district support specialist that work directly with her, Sergeant Crowley or one of the school resource officers, and of course interested parents and citizens to have the kind of dialogue that I think can inform people about our policies and procedures, respond to questions, and again, identify areas where we need to strengthen those policies and procedures. So I hope this reflects the subcommittee's will when you suggested the safety summits, but I would recommend the committee authorize me to proceed with this.
Move approval, Your Honor.
Motion to approve the schedule of safety summits by Ms. Faticante, second by Ms. Doherty. Roll call. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That report is approved. And second is Board of Education changes in MCAS our graduation requirements. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, there was quite a bit written in the media last week about what the Board of Education has done in terms of graduation requirements, so I thought it would be an opportunity to clarify and describe some of the implications for Lowell. Starting with this year's freshman class, which is the class of 2010, in Massachusetts now, students are required to achieve one of two outcomes. The first is to score a 240 or higher on the MCAS Math and MCAS ELA exam. A 240 score is the score designating proficiency. 220 is the score now identified for graduation. If a student, starting with this year's freshman, does not achieve a 240 when they take the MCAS test next year as sophomores, if they score between a 220 and a 239, they will be expected to take a course of study for junior year and senior year that will help ensure that they continue to learn mathematics and develop their writing and reading skills. For most students, there'll be no difference in what they take for English because we already require 4 years of English. But for some of our students, it will mean some changes in their plans for mathematics. They won't be able to stop taking mathematics after 3 years, and they'll need to pursue through at least geometry and probably statistics. So they'll need to take mathematics courses right through graduation. That's the likely implication of this for our students. And you have in the report that if the policy was if this new graduation standard was in place, the percentage of youngsters who would be affected by this. But it's very clear that the board did not change the graduation requirement to say that everyone has to get a 240. Students will be able to graduate with a 220 as long as they continue to take the coursework that would have them continuing to develop their skills in reading, writing, literature, and mathematics. It will also mean that at the end of their junior year, they would need to take a test. It could be the MCAS again. This is again for the students who got 220 to 239. It could be the MCAS. What the urban superintendents have urged the department to do is to not have those youngsters have to take the MCAS, but instead have them take a test like the AccuPlacer, which is a nationally standardized test that community colleges give as a way to assess what courses youngsters when they enter community college, should be taking in math and reading and writing. And there should be a way to identify the Accuplacer score in math that would represent a 240 in, say, the math MCAS, and thereby establish a cutoff on the Accuplacer that would enable a student to demonstrate that they indeed have acquired proficiency in math and proficiency in English language arts, but have them focus more on the future and the likelihood of further education rather than focused backwards on the MCAS. So there are important implementation decisions that will need to be made by the Department of Education, but I thought it would be helpful to clarify that it is not a 240 to graduate, a 240 or else. It remains 240 automatically assures you of graduation, but a 220 or higher plus coursework will enable you to graduate. And I think that the press had a hard time throughout the Commonwealth explaining that clearly, so I think it sent a chill through many of us at the idea that a 240 would be absolutely a requirement for graduation. So I hope that clarifies things, and welcome any questions.
Mr. Leahy. Thank you, through you to the superintendent. So I understood what you said. That was much better than what I read in the paper. But who's gonna, so the problems would be we need to administer another test for these students. Who pays for that? We do?
The department is obligated to provide the test. The Department of Education will provide the test, just as they now provide the MCAS.
Okay, so we'll just have scheduling problems then?
Well, additional students who will have to be taking tests, yes. We'll have to commit more days in the school year in which youngsters are taking tests rather than being taught, yes.
All right, did that discussion come up with the urban superintendents at all? Or, I mean, it just seems like we're taking so much time out of the day for testing, and then scheduling problems. I mean, we know things are tough enough scheduling the students' schedules now, and now we're going to have to deal with that. It's just one thing after another.
Yes, we've raised the question about how much time is now being taken for testing grades 3 through 12. Absolutely. And for urban high schools, which have a larger number of youngsters who don't score above the 220, now we're talking about large numbers of youngsters who will, yes, have to be scheduled to take another test in the spring in their junior year, and possibly again in their senior year. Yes, this adds to the, again, time devoted to testing, not spent on teaching, and the disruptions that come in a big high school when a fairly large number of youngsters have to be assigned to take tests rather than and be scheduled out of their classes. It does add to the challenges, absolutely.
And I just have one other question. Does it ever come up, there was a motion on tonight about looking at all the MCAS scores and yeah, does that discussion come up? Because I mean, obviously, when you have all the subgroups together, it pulls, and not for many reasons, it brings the scores down for the district. But we're in Lowell, where we have so many newcomers with second languages, English as a second language. I mean, it's no fault of the students, no fault of us, but it brings everything down. Any discussion on that, so we can get our scores up?
Yes, in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Department of Education regulations had been that no student was tested in English until they'd been here for 3 years. That had been the testing, which makes a lot of sense, that a youngster has 3 years to develop their English language proficiency, and then starts taking the test in English. That's how it was done in Massachusetts until the federal No Child Left Behind law superseded the Massachusetts requirements and directed that youngsters have to be tested in English in the year that they arrive. So a youngster who comes brand new, speaking English, speaking no English, who was here on September 29th of this year, at whatever grade, 3 through 12, will have to take the MCAS test in English in May. And that's a federal requirement, and the state has not been able to change that. That's it's probably the number one priority that's being expressed by Massachusetts to Washington about changes that are needed in the federal law, because it really doesn't make sense to have youngsters who are here 8 months being tested in English. It really doesn't make sense, and it's exceedingly I mean, I think it's obvious why it doesn't make sense.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martin?
Can I just ask for a little clarification? So the urban superintendents, you anticipate recommending introducing a new test into this, a new instrument into this procedure?
As an alternative to the MCAS for juniors and seniors who meet the 220 threshold, but have not met the 240 threshold. Yes.
To be honest with you, I don't understand what the benefit of that would be. I mean, if we've set the bar as 240, and that's our goal, recognizing that these students going through their junior and senior year are getting additional help, still trying to get them to proficient, why would we substitute a new test? And what kind of validity would we have in making any kind of comparison?
Well, there's actually it should be relatively easy to take the Accuplacer test, which has been administered for a number of years at the community colleges across the country. We have the MCAS scores of most of those youngsters who have taken the Accuplacer and the Accuplacer scores. So it should be easy to identify
and
an
yet
equivalent.
Not nearly so easy as giving them the same test.
Well, I think the advantage as we've thought about it is that it focuses youngsters on further education. That's the goal. It gets them focused on the possibilities of community college education rather than seeing high school diploma as the end point, and encourages and gets them focused on looking ahead and beyond high school.
So this is an issue for the class of 2010?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Mr. Leahy. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Report is accepted. Next report is on computer donation from the Flutie Foundation. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, we've been fortunate to receive from the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation 8 computers to add to our place in our district-wide programs for youngsters with pervasive developmental delay, the youngsters on the autism spectrum. So the high school, Shaughnessy, McAvenue, Sullivan, and Robinson schools are all receiving computer setups through the generosity of the foundation.
Motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Ms. Doherty, second by Ms. Martin. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The report is accepted. We do have one request for home education.
Move approval, Your Honor.
Motion to approve by Ms. Faticante, seconded by Mr. Leahy. Roll call, please.
Mr. McHugh. Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Faticante.
Yes.
Mr. Leahy.
Yes.
Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin. 6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Okay, under new business, we have authorization for personnel and safety policy review and revision. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, I'm suggesting to the school committee that the committee authorize me to undertake a review of all committee policies related to personnel and safety as part of the district's response to the issues raised by recent events. Our policy book has not had a careful look at those policies in close to 15 years, and so that we would be able to, I think, review the existing policies related to personnel and safety, survey Massachusetts districts that have recently completed policy reviews in these areas to identify model policies to consider, consult with appropriate district administrators and counsel when appropriate, then identify policies that may need to be deleted, amended, and/or added to the policy book, and then meet with the Personnel and Safety Subcommittee to develop a plan and timetable for action, and then drafting proposed policies as needed for subcommittee consideration. My recommendation is that we utilize some of the funds that have been set aside for consultant services for the school building project, and use some of those resources to hire one of our retired administrators to work with district administrators and with the subcommittees for personnel and safety to undertake this work. So I'm looking for committee action on this.
Ms. Martin?
I would make a motion to move forward with this endeavor. I do think that it's, especially given the conversations we've had recently and that we, have taken on as issues to be dealt with in the future. I do think that really taking the time to take a very careful and thoughtful review of all of our policies is certainly well warranted. And I think that this is a really good structure for it to happen with.
Thank you. So motion to adopt the request by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Doherty. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Just one quick question.
Mr. Leary.
Thank you. How much, you said, how much money are we talking about in terms of hiring
I'm quite confident it would absolutely not exceed $6,000 in cost to review all those policies, and could be less than that. Once the person is able to review all those, consult with MASC, which is prepared to make available all of its technical assistance to us at no cost as a feature of our membership, as a right of our membership, so that we're able to have access to all of the MAC resources, Association of School Committee resources. I think that ultimately this would cost under $6,000.
And it would come from what? I missed where would we get the funds from? I missed what you said.
I'm sorry, from under the school committee account in the budget, there's contracted services for school construction of money that was set aside last spring in anticipation of consulting support. And we're confident now we won't need all that money because we've got a different way through the state with the owner project management.
Okay. Roll call on the motion?
Mr. McHugh, Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Doherty,
Yes.
Ms. Fattacante, yes. Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Your Honor, before we move on to conference requests, in our packets, we received some information regarding the band and the funding, and I'm asking that, I don't want to take any motion now, nor do I want to take any action on this now. However, I would like to send this to the Lowell High Subcommittee. We have a couple of things here. One, a petition from young Master Howe. We also have a memo from Jean Franco, our deputy superintendent, and some information regarding the costs associated with funding the music program, the band program. We a few years ago, when school committee woman Kay Starr-Closer was alive, she really did a lot of work to rededicate some efforts to the band. When we cut some money out of our budget last year, upkeep and maintenance to the band went with those cuts, and they're looking for some assistance. So I'd like to see if we can send this to the Lowell High School Subcommittee for review, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So moved by Ms. Fattacante, second by Mr. Leary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That matter is referred to the High School
Thank you.
Subcommittee. Under Convention Center requests, conventions and requests, we had 5. One of those conferences has been canceled, so we're left with 4.
Which one is canceled?
The last one.
The last one. Make a motion, Your Honor?
Motion.
To allow the conferences.
Motion to approve the 4 convention conference requests by Ms. Fattacante, seconded by Ms. Doherty. Roll call.
Mr. McHugh, Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Doherty,
Yes.
Ms. Fattacante.
Yes?
Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
I believe that concludes the agenda. A motion to adjourn by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Ms. Faticante. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed?
It's 9 o'clock, by the way. That hasn't moved all night.
Meeting stands adjourned.
It hasn't, I'm gonna look at that.